I'm, we have a pretty limited agenda here, so I don't think we're going to be here till late hours. Call the meeting to order. We have out-of-state travel, some of which we've seen before. Yeah, the out-of-state travel for the robotic, what is it?
Robotics team?
Yeah, robotic is for the robotics team, but there's a gathering of some kind, and I don't know what they call it.
Competition, yep.
A competition in Duluth, Minnesota. And honestly, they're not asking for hardly anything. Is there a motion to approve that request?
So I'll move. As long as it's not hosted by Skynet. Is that what it was?
I wouldn't know what that meant. Is there a second?
Terminator.
All right, there's a second.
I got that.
Any discussion? I mean, I think it's, this is a cool thing. I mean, talk about STEM work and competition, that's good.
I got the joke too, Chris.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The second one is the Washington DC trip for the middle school. This is mostly out of Wilson, right?
Nope, it's a combo trip.
I know it's a combo trip,
But then next year, we're gonna.
but you're gonna have two trips?
It's a shipbuilder's trip.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a middle school trip.
We've seen this before, and I think we were in favor of it then.
Yeah, that was for this year, 2025.
So you just want us to,
This is for 2026.
oh, this is for 2026, son of a gun.
I want to give.
Yeah, no
this
kidding.
Opportunity
All
to finance the trip for their kids. If, the more time they have, the easier it is. So I'm planning a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I was wondering why we got it again.
Right? You were just here, right?
So, yeah. Is there a motion to approve this?
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
discussion?
Thank you for all your efforts.
Hearing, yeah, I think
Mr. Trask, if I just may, and, speaking on behalf of the work that Trish has done on this, we've gone from, before, I want to give some context, where we wondered about which school would go. We wondered when the proposals would come in. And she's really done a great job of streamlining this, not only to make it a joint effort, which I think is a great way to get our kids to get to know each other when they leave their middle schools in 8th grade. It's a gateway to high school, right? So just a huge thanks to Trish, your leadership for giving these kids an opportunity. And not only that, but being ahead of the game gives kids who may struggle financially more time to do fundraising and get some opportunities that they may not otherwise have.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I mean, trips like this change lives, I know, from personal experience. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nay? All right. Health. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what. Do you want to enlighten us here on this a bit?
Yeah.
We did talk about it
This
yesterday.
is for your information only. My
Yeah.
belief is that there is a lot of movement on behalf of the state in regard to state youth risk behavior survey data, our own internal youth risk behavior survey data, information from counselors and our partners that are helping with some school-based mental health, and that our health curriculum is a bit antiquated, and because we're only currently teaching it at 1 grade level, it's just a bit broad. So you have already adopted our health standards. They're grade banded, they're already approved and adopted. So what our stakeholder team is going to do over the course of the next few months is really differentiate and prioritize those essential standards for a middle school health curriculum that would be taught in probably 7th or 8th grade at the middle school level, and then a high school health curriculum that will be a companion class to 9th grade PE. So we'll differentiate developmentally appropriate health curriculum for our middle school students and our high school students, but providing two opportunities to really tackle some of those skills and needs for students that are good companions for life and wellness with our FIAD curriculum. So we already know that there's been some concerns about adding a requirement at the middle school level and potentially taking away some opportunities for other elective choice. We will continue to be working with our middle school teams on creative solutions around scheduling so that we're not limiting elective opportunities, but increasing opportunities for students to participate in other electives at the middle school level. We know that's been a concern for quite some time, and people are very passionate and rightfully so about that. So we want to make sure that we're with this group of people, and our first meeting is on Thursday afternoon already, like really acknowledging those schedule nuances and making sure we're increasing opportunities for students. And then there's already been some concern about students who are currently taking health class in middle school are currently getting a 0.5 credit toward their health requirement for graduation. Those kids, we'll figure out whether or not those kids will get that elective credit or be grandfathered in. That stakeholder committee will address that as well. So nobody's missing out on that opportunity when it's been communicated up until this point that middle school health is counting as 0.5 credit. So we'll continue this work to address those concerns.
This doesn't anticipate any staff increases, does it?
Not at the moment, but as we're considering staffing district-wide, we'll have a better idea of what that picture looks like.
Sure. Is there any other questions?
Any other questions?
Yeah, thank you, guys. So is this new for this year, or is this just what the standards have been?
These are the standards that have been adopted previously. Yeah.
Okay, so these are the state standards. correct?
These are our state,
We
Wisconsin
just
state.
linked them in there in case you want them.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I was looking through it because I remember reviewing, we had a health text a couple years ago that I looked through, and has anything changed that we've had since then?
No, and if anything, we wanted to bring this to your attention now so that as this group works, if there are any changes that come up or, materials that would need to be purchased, as scheduling and communication and things come out, we just want to make sure you have this initial information, and then we'll bring all of those things to you for appropriate board approval as we would.
Right, we have to approve it, that's.
Yeah, if there's any curricular changes or anything, we can approve all of that.
And from what I recall, I believe the text I reviewed was the high school text.
Correct.
We didn't have anything in the middle school.
Well, I believe it's a shared resource.
We have the Glencoe Health textbook, so I think it was probably what we showed you.
For the middle school.
Because the high school text is very outdated, and so we have like the most current one at the middle school.
Gotcha.
Because most kids do take health in 7th or 8th grade to meet their DPI requirement. So now we're just gonna try to add some health in at the middle school and then again at the high school.
So would that be presumably a new text? Is that right? Or we don't know yet?
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Maybe.
Yeah, potentially. We'll have to just see if the resource that we currently have addresses the standards at each of those levels.
This isn't really an addition, is it? I mean, this is just a reform kind of, isn't it? It's a bringing up to date and making it more relevant, and that what normally would happen, along the way, right?
Yeah. I would agree with that. And then the other thing too, I think, is this review process that'll be collaborative in nature will also give us the opportunity to not only look at these standards, prioritize them for the different grade levels, but it'll also give us a chance to look at those standards and compare them to the resources we have to make sure we have the best resources available. Because health curriculum, as it has changed and as the state has adopted standards, we very well, with the age of our texts and resources, may have to make an update, which again would come
Yeah,
through
sure.
this committee.
Yeah.
But to answer, is this an addition? So technically speaking, all right, let me take you through this. My daughter was able to take health in 7th or 8th grade. That counted for her to not have to take it.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, what happened post-COVID was sort of a hodgepodge approach to this. Prior to that, we had most all kids, I would say percentage-wise, probably 90% take health in middle school. then things got kind of wonky, and then one school's doing, one's kind of not doing it. So we're not being consistent. So this is an effort to be consistent and make sure, because at that age, kids are going through a lot. And they really have to be educated on a lot of these lessons for their own personal wellness, but also for the wellness of others. And I think what this does is it ensures that they get what they need at the middle school level. But what it also does is at the high school level, it says, listen, you're going to take ninth grade PE, but you're also going to take health in ninth grade as well. Because let's face it, things change pretty dramatically in kids' lives between when they're in seventh grade and when they're in ninth grade. And I would argue that, you know, of all the stuff kids need to know about, you know, like balancing checkbooks and some of those very common things, they should also know a little bit about themselves and the world around them. And our health curriculum does a pretty good job of helping prepare them for that. So this is really, I mean, I want to say it's like, I
It's
really feel,
elementary.
yeah.
My
yeah.
dear Watson,
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. And so I appreciate the conversations and the willingness to take a look at doing this, because I think it'll really help our kids.
But to have it antiquated, it's just unforgivable. I mean, then you may as well not even put them through it.
Mr. Phipps.
So I just want to
Yes.
summarize what Mr. Janice just said, because what happened was the middle schoolers would get credit, high school credit for it, and then they would never maybe take it again. However, we're still going to be mandating it in the middle school level, but it's not going to count towards high school credit. It's going to just be a mandatory elective. So essentially, they're going to get a double dose of health in middle school and in high school. And then what you're going to say, you're going to have to do is adjust the program plans of the high school students that came
Right.
through the system before X amount of date of 2020 or something, so that they still get their credit. And technically, they don't need to take another half a credit of it in high school. But essentially, you're mandating that students have two courses, essentially, once in middle school and once in high school. So we are adding, you know, FTE to it essentially, but it's not on it's on an elective base, not on a health base, which I don't know how that works. If you're the staffing, that's a summarization of what's happening. If I'm right.
But there are courses and then there are advanced courses. And that seems to be what's proposed here, right?
No, probably more of an age appropriate, health.
Yeah.
One in middle
Yeah.
school and one in high school.
Age development.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Tony?
If there are any changes to the text, when would you anticipate those?
I would say by February curriculum committee meeting or March curriculum committee meeting, if we need to look at some things or pilot some options, we'll discuss that on Thursday when we meet though.
Okay, and then those to go through the normal process or the
30-day review. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we would want to get those resources in teachers' hands before the end of the year, so we'd move quickly on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further? I don't know, did everybody get the sheet on curriculum adoption updates? I mean, it was just sort of there's no action required, but it was just a statement of sort of who's doing what and when it will be ready for us to look at.
Oh, I didn't get that. I did get it.
I didn't think it was attached,
It's
but
not attached?
Oh, yeah,
It's attached, it's attached in here.
I don't have it on mine.
Okay. Well, I can summarize quickly.
well, I looked at it. I got a copy, I guess, just when I met with Buddy and Katie.
So as part of our curriculum adoption cycle that was developed last year, we have a number of courses and areas that are up for curriculum adoption or updated curriculum adoption this year. So we have middle school social studies. They have been piloting a couple of different resources. Their plan is to wrap up a pilot and then be able to bring you all a recommendation in February curriculum committee meeting. That resource would then be available for the 30-day review, and then they would come back for approval following that, again, for purchasing. Another department area is our middle school and high school world language department. They haven't had new resources in 20-some years or something crazy, so they are thrilled about having the opportunity to look at some new resources. And we'll again probably be ready to bring a recommendation for materials review to you in the February or March curriculum committee meeting. We have our high school English language arts department. They will be beginning a pilot. They did some reviewing of different resources and will begin a pilot of one agreed upon one beginning here second semester. So all of our 10th grade ELA teams will be engaged in this pilot so that they can PLC around it. They can have their learning, professional learning community team talks around this pilot, student outcome data, take a unit, really dig into it, team around that. Then we'll have one 9th grade English language arts teacher and one 11th grade English language arts teacher. They will bring a recommendation to the board probably in March with materials review at that point, and then go for board approval after that. And then we also are working on some tweaks to our high school social studies curriculum. So working with those departments.
We've seen stuff on that. I mean, I have.
Yep, they adopted some resources last year and needed to look at some standards realignment. So because it falls into that social studies cycle, we're able to let them take a look at potentially tweaking some of those resources. But everything will come to this committee with the team's recommendations, and then we'll have those materials available to review, and then go from there.
Yeah, Katie, go ahead.
I was just curious, thanks for the update on that.
Yep.
Are we still using that, I remember last year we had that tool that kind of mapped out like where we were at. I thought that was kind of cool just to give it like a high level snapshot. I don't know if that's still something that we can utilize. Or...
Yeah, so that will be able to be updated then after we get through this cycle. So then we can see what's next up on the list and we can share that out with the board, because that is that's a cool resource.
Yeah, I'm just thinking even like forward thinking for future board members, you know, it'd be kind of good for them to kind of see the landscape on what's coming down the pipe and whatnot.
Yeah, that would be good. Once I can update that and then bring that for when we start bringing these recommendations forward. But yeah, we are following that, but to bring an updated visual is a good idea. Do that.
Thank you.
I should have, when you said Jody Bry is doing an intro lit, they're looking at a real chunk of the curriculum in English in high school in this, or what?
Yep, so it would be our core ELA classes, so English 9, 10, 11, 12. There are a number of electives that are special courses that use their own tools and resources. And then we have AP courses, which are its own beast, but these are for general English courses.
Okay. I mean, this is probably inappropriate at this point, but I read an article a couple of weeks ago in the Atlantic about how kids don't read whole books anymore. And that there's, even the kids that, are real precocious and go off to the Ivy League and stuff like that, professors can't get them to read books anymore because they never have. Is there any, that seems to be really, cutting off limbs or something, because it's an absolute needed skill and a disposition that people actually read books. Do we have any kind of minimal requirements in English courses?
Yeah, I can speak specifically to the high school. So that's who's up for curriculum adoption. Our staff is engaged in significant professional development around literacy workshop model. A huge component of that is book clubs. So where students have choice in reading, where they read an entire book, they engage in collaborative conversations around that book. They base their skills assessments and standard proficiency around that novel. So our kids.
Yeah, okay, that's good. I like to hear stuff like that. Is there any further? We're looking forward to getting these reports.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
That'll all be coming quickly.
All right, that pretty much exhausts our agenda. Is there anything that people want to say? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
There's, okay, all those in favor of adjourn?
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay? Okay, we're done.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Lou.